Good morning, good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming to this event. I also would like to thank to Quantum Metal Corporate University for inviting me to speak in this event. So I'm more than happy to share my knowledge and experience related to blockchain with every one of you. So today's topic that I'm going to cover is, blockchain is not really about Bitcoins or cryptocurrency. And in fact, it can be applied and used in other use cases. So how we can leverage on this technology to do something very innovations, also something like evolutions, of traditional enterprise. All right. So before we begin, I always like to start from the fundamental. So when everyone gets on hold on the fundamental knowledge and you know the benefit of the technologies and the usability of the technology, then only we can do the design work and we can know how we can apply the technology on the area that you may want to explore or test on it, right? So I will a bit overlap with what Anok has shared, but I'll be much more in-depth technical. Hopefully my, I try to explain in much more layman. So bear with me with all those technical jargon. Of course, if you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat box. Yeah. So what is blockchain? When you hear a lot from everyone saying decentralization, distributions, right? Distributed ledger technology, DLT. So in fact, you can treat it like a database, right? But this database is slightly different. Is that this database is being distributed to everyone who want to join in your ecosystem. Okay, so this database, a same copy of database will be distributed to all the persons who believe into this network or who join into this network, so that everyone can have a same copy of the data to do the audits and governance. All right, and then how we actually can achieve that the data, the copy of the data in your database on your hand is actually the legit data or the genuine data. So we actually leverage on the tools in the computing method. We call it hashing. So hashing is actually a digital signature of a data. Say it's like a data. Let's say it's my name, Sylvester. All right. In fact, in the computer world, you can treat it like this. Sylvester has a representations of another data to represent that actual data. So it's like giving a unique identifier for my name. All right. So every block, you can treat the block like a page of ledger. All right. And all the data is your transactional data. Like me, Sylvester, I transfer $10 to Arnold, for example. And this transaction data will be kept in the block. And everyone is making transactions, and there are a lot of transactions. Say a block can only fit hundreds of transactions. If there is 11 and 1 transactions, the transaction has to be placed in another block, a new block, because it's like a book of ledger. So, you have only 100 lines of entries. So the 11 and 1, you have to write into have to be written into the next new page. So every page with full of data, there is a hash to represent that, a unique identifier of that page. So the next page will have another sets of transactions records. So the new page will have the previous page unique identifier to link them up. So you have page 1, page 2, and page 3 of the block of the data, all right? So look at this diagram, you can see that page 2 will have a previous page of page 1 hash. So page 3 will have the previous hash of page 2. So this is how they chain all the blocks together to form a sequential sets of transactional data, all right? So this is the fundamental of blockchain, right? And then once we have the ledgers, all right, the blockchain that you got it in the previous way, how you do that, and then you distribute these blocks to all the participants, all the persons who join into this network. So if you look at the decentralized manner, the nodes, you can treat the node like persons who actually own the copy of your blockchain. And these blocks will be distributed to everyone. So everyone have a copy of it. So if you compare to the conventional centralized system, you only have one single database, and all the person, I mean the branches, you can treat it like as the same another persons or different persons who are accessing the one same ledger, okay, or the database compared to the decentralized manner. So you can see that if everyone has a copy of the database compared to everyone look at the one single database, you see that there's a pro and cons over here. The pro is that we do not need to worry about data loss anymore because everyone has the same copy of data. Okay, in case one of the person lost their ledger or the blocks, then he can get another copy from another person. But compared to the conventional system, all right, if the database is down for some reason, let's say it's power failure, or maybe the hard disk corrupted, or some disaster, you know, strike at the data center and your data is gone forever. So here are the pro and cons about blockchain. Yeah. Another good thing that we can achieve with blockchain is joint governance. Since I mentioned that everyone have a copy of their blocks. Blockchains, right? So we do not need to worry like, hey, you do not want to review your data and then I need to do a lot of things or work tries to, you know, get the data, but you do not need to worry in blockchains because everyone get the data. You can see and check and do the audit by yourself. And of course, we don't need to worry about the data loss issue, okay? And now, another thing that I believe that you frequently hear is about mining, all right? And why mining actually happens, and do we really need mining? So actually, mining is to determine who should write the data into the blocks. So you imagine, like I mentioned just now, if everyone has a copy of the blocks on your hand, and everyone tries to write their own transactional data into the blocks, right? And you imagine, let's say we have 100 persons over here and everyone is doing the transactions from time to time. And, you know, everyone, if we allow everyone to write the data into the block, how can that data be synchronized to all of them? It will be a challenge. So that's why the founder of the Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto, he designed sort of like a game, all right? A game for the persons to get the mining rights, all right? To allow only one person can write the data into a block at one time so that it won't create a chaos. You know, everyone's writing the data into the blocks and, you know, it get messy when we try to synchronize the block. So the game is like this. So in order to get the winning rights, the mining rights, so you have to calculate the sort of like a hash. So in fact, it actually create a mathematic questions embedded into the block, in each block, all right? And everyone has to find out the right answer in order to achieve the mining rights. So that's why there's a lot of mining machines comes up which is specifically designed to find out this answer, you know, in order to gain this mining right. And what is the benefit of getting these mining rights? You may query, right? You may wonder. So if you are the person who get the mining right, who get the answer rights, you will be rewarded with Bitcoin. And that actually incentivizes the person who actually contributed to this blockchain network, because you have spent a lot of resources in order to get the answer right. Okay, and it has to create some fair environment where want to promote and want to attract people to continue contributing to this network. That's why it comes up this mining concept. So everyone has gone crazy about mining because it knows that mining can give them rewards and they can use this reward to do trading. All right. So this is the only way for now how blockchains determine. Not really, sorry, it shouldn't be saying the only way. There are many ways how we can determine the person to write the data into the block. So the commonly used in Bitcoin, Ethereum is proof of work, which is the mining game kind of thingy to determine the person to write the block. So there are two more or three. There are actually many more consensus algorithm, or we can say is the rules to define who is the person to write the block. Can be other ways. Okay, there are much more energy efficiency where you do not need to do this mining game. You can consider about proof of stake, where you do not need to do this mining game calculations kind of thing. You just need to purchase some coins, or you stake some of the coins of this blockchain network, and the person who owns the majority of the stakes, he gets the much more voting rights, okay, to become the miner or the person who write blocks into the blockchain. All right, and this will actually save a lot of problem and hassles how to write the data into the blockchain. And there are two more, like much more commonly heard, is Byzantine fault tolerance. Is another way how this block data being passed between all these blockchain participants to synchronize the data. RAF is also another rules how the data, the blocks data being synchronized between others without needing to do the mining. And of course, if you compare the security and the efficiencies of different consensus algorithm, proof of work will be much more secure, but it is much more energy starving. And then compared to proof of stake, Byzantine fault tolerance, RAF, okay, those do not need mining, and they are much more efficient because they do not need to go through all those hassle, and they can straight away, write data into the block, and it will be commit the transaction will be much more quicker. But the downside is that the security may not be as good as proof of work. All right. And then there is a smart contract. Okay, I believe you heard a lot about smart contract. So you can treat smart contract is like a small program or source code that's stored on blockchain, and you can actually define the rules, conditions. You can be written in smart contract and deploy to the blockchain. And these smart contract rules, the source code is open and public can actually access to it. Everyone can see it. Why we want to do this openly is because blockchain is all to talk about open and transparency. So that everyone who want to enroll into this smart contract or not, they can see that whether this rule is actually acceptable or not. If it's not, then he can opt not to use it or not to enroll. All right. So if you are happy with it, then you can enroll. No problem with that, right? And smart contract can be used in many ways. Like the commonly apply is like tokenizations. So we can do something. I will talk about more about what is tokenization later. All these application I will talk about that later. Okay. So the common application we can find in smart contract is tokenization, securitizations, tracking, certification, and gamifications. All right. So after we have done this, so the ultimate purpose or goal why we want to do this is we want to remove intermediary. Maybe we want to prevent arbitrations. We want to reduce enforcement costs. Okay, we want to prevent fraud loss. maybe what the reductions of accidents exceptions, all right? How we can actually achieve that and why, all right? So since you have understand the fundamental of blockchain that I explained just now, the openness, the transparency, and how this joint governance, how this tamper resistant been implemented, the block hashing, you know, all these real-time data synchronizations between all the participations. In fact, all this, we combine the benefit of it, it actually form trust. And this trust is formed among all the persons who are into this blockchain network automatically without needing any agreement signage or whatever, okay? Once, you know, because we can access the smart contract, we can access the data in the blockchain. So I truly trust it. No worries about that because, you know, I got all this benefit with it. So once we have the trust is formed, the efficiency will be formed automatically, which means that you can leverage on this trust. You can build your own business alliance. You can eliminate intermediary. You do not need somebody to, you know, do the deal for you. You can actually straight away involve in the trades. And then we can prevent asymmetry informations whereby, you know, you access to the data in real time. You do not need to worry like the upper streams, they keep some of the data, they do not share with the lower stream persons. You know, you do not need to worry about that kind of problems anymore. And we talk about community because when we have all this efficiency, you know, you can build a community easily because everyone are going to talk about this and share this knowledge, and you can easily expose your brand. You can do your marketing much more easily because, you know, everyone are into this. Okay, and which industry should consider blockchain? You know, I would say 90% of the industry are actually can be fitted into this blockchain technology. Okay, so the most commonly used is by finance. Logistic company can use it. Manufacturing, luxury goods, retail, you know, medical, agriculture, energy, wine. There are much more. Okay, so if you don't see your industry in this list, don't worry about that. It's just that it's too much. So I just list out those most commonly used industry in here. Okay, and then we can do something much more community-driven business. Like we can do crowdfunding, we can do verifications, we can do polling, we can do securitizations, loyalty service, loyalty program, or self-service program or business. Okay. So tamper-proof applications. So how we can leverage on this blockchain tamper-proof benefits is, you know, in current markets, I mean, most of the traditional business, they always encounter this counterfeit product. So which means your competitor or maybe some people likes to steal your ideas, steal your sales, try to duplicate your products and mimic your product, and they cause you to damaging your brand's reputations, you know, and then ultimately will harming the long-term trust built with the business partner, you know, forcing the brands to spend time and money fighting fakes, you know. So how we can solve this? First, because of blockchain, it is a community-driven design. So we can leverage on the community help together to do the verification of your products. So we can actually start do the tracing from the raw material to the manufacturer, to the warehouse, the distributor, to the merchant, to consumer. So it actually, how it actually works is that, says the manufacturer is the person concerned about his product is being counterfeit. So he can actually design this by having every of his product embed with a blockchain signature or digital certifications on their product. All right. And you can imagine there is a QR code with a unique hash. All right. The hash is like a unique identifier for each product. Let's say I'm a Gucci bag manufacturer. All right. I sell these luxury bags. All right. I know ladies like bags, but you also ladies fear about purchasing these fake bags. So every bag will be embedded with this QR code thingy, or maybe you can also have any other form like RFID tag is also usable as well, applicable as well. Not necessarily must be QR code. As long as there is a unique identifier that can be embedded and hidden somewhere in your bags. All right, and this and the trace how to say the trail of this bag. When has it been distributed to the warehouse? It will be contributed the data by the logistic company or the warehouse partner, says when it has been shipped to this warehouse, when has been collected in the warehouse, stored in the warehouse, right? And then the bags been distributed to the distributor or dealer, and the distributor and dealer, they has to contribute the data as well. Says like when it has been received the goods, the bags, all right, he contribute the data into the blockchain, and then he pass the bag to the merchants, which means he is resell to the merchant. The merchant do the same thing again and do the verification until the hand of consumer. The consumer have to scan the QR code or maybe access to the RFID tag, and then contribute the data, says that, hey, I purchased this bag. Okay, all this data actually being written into the blockchain, and this data will not be able to tamper. Nobody can change it, and everyone jointly govern it. Okay, so it will prevent this the counterfeit product maybe happen, because as long as the goods without the digital certification or without the RFID tag or QR code, you can potentially say that it may be a fake product. All right, if you have it, then you can cross-check anytime that the origin of this bag. You can easily check it. All right, so this is how this digital certifications looks like. Maybe like an app. You can scan the QR code and then you can access to this. But these digital certifications are what I'm showing in this screen is for the medical industry. So let's say a medical report, it can be traced on the blockchain as well, if you can imagine. Say people may fake medical report for some other purpose, like insurance thingy, or maybe for some other reason, we don't know. All right. So the same use case can be applied, in medical industry, and we use these digital certifications thingy, okay, to do that. Okay. And securitizations applications. So just now I mentioned about the smart contract. So sometimes you want to sell expensive thing, and the public may not be able to afford the entire things, the expensive stuff, right? And you want to create a platform to allow people to co-own or maybe fractionally own the thingy, because they think that the thing is very valuable, like the arts. Like for instance, what I'm going to share here is arts, right? Like painting is very expensive, but they know that the painting has the potential to appreciate the value. So they design that something like a crowdfunding platform, but not entirely like crowdfunding, but this is to purchase goods. So we can use smart contract to create this fractional ownership. Everyone can can just buy a fractions of this art piece. So whenever this art piece being sold in an auction house, and then upon the successful deal, they can get the fractions of the appreciation value, the profit out from it automatically. Okay, so this is how we actually can do that. And of course, we also need to embed the painting with this RFID tag, QR code, to issue digital certification as well for this art piece, in order to gain much more public trust. People will be much more believing into this. There are actual deal behind these traits of this painting, and they can have the visibility, like when this painting been shipped, been sold, and how much been sold, and who is the next owner, the new owner of this painting. All this trail can be audited and checked. So this promote openness and transparency. Now next is about crowdfunding. So similarly to the painting, but instead of buying painting, how about buying durian farm? you know. So if you like durians, all right, and you want to own your own durian tree, but you do not have your own expertise, but no worries about that. Maybe, you know, you can join a platform like this. You can invest in fractions of the durian farm. We can also design, like you can buy the durian tree by each tree, you know, but you in your units of trees. All right. So whenever these trees, you know, has a mature durian, and this durian, either you want to ship to your own house, and because you own this, or you want to let the farmer to sell the durian and then share the profit with you, yeah, you can design this way as well. So we also can do this, issue these digital certificates on each of the durian tree, and we get the farmer to take photo, capture the tree of the location of the tree, you know, providing you the GPS coordinate of this tree, you know, anytime when you are free, you want to go and have a look on your own tree, you can feel free to do that. And yeah, so this is one of the way, okay, using blockchain to do that. Next, I want to share about tokenizations. So tokenizations are mainly used in financial industry, financial sector. Like for example, this is a use case for the supply chain finance. So say I'm the company who owns a lot of money, you know, I have a lot of suppliers with me, and I know that those suppliers, they may be short of cash to produce the raw material for me to do my goods manufacturing. So every time when I sign a contract with my supplier, the supplier actually has a confirmed deal. So we do not need to worry about the supplier may gone into a debt and they are not able to pay you up. So because I'm the company who are going to buy the raw material from the supplier, so I don't need to worry about that, right? So I can actually issue a tokens based on the contract value. Says this supplier, he got a $1 million deal with me. Maybe that's too much. Maybe 100,000. All right, and the supplier wants to loan maybe 50,000. I can actually issue this 50,000 token to this supplier, and this supplier can use this token to make another payment with his suppliers, which means the suppliers. This is like upstreams, all the upstreams token circulations. So it will actually save the time for the supplier to go and apply for business loan from the bank. Even save the hassle to provide all the supporting documents to prove his credibility. So the supplier can just simply, you know, pay the bills to his suppliers and his supplier, and go on to actually purchase the goods. Of course, there is one more thing we need to consider, is that this token must be recognized by the entire upstream ecosystem in order to make it work, because nobody will recognize this token as a monetary form. So or maybe there is a bank partner with this enterprise who can allow this persons or the suppliers can cash out their token into a fiat currency, and then they can use the fiat currency to do this purchase. Okay, so this will promote the efficiency of this loan applications, payment speeds, you know, all this. And then another good thing is about this, we can apply in the construction industry. So this is a construction industry supply chain model that we can do with is, this is a platform that's basically to solve a few pain points that are encountered by the construction industry, is that there are non-performing loan risks for the bank, delay of payment for the suppliers, there are asymmetric information among the supply chain stakeholders, which means like, you know, in the construction industry, you have this main contractor, you have a lot of subcontractors, and then suppliers. All this, this is a downstream ecosystem management. All right, just now was the upstream, now it's the downstream. So for the downstream ecosystems management, is how we do that, is that the tokens payments to the suppliers and the subcontractors are all can be done in this platform. All right, so we provide the loan to the constructions project owner, and this platform should be issued by the bank or used by the bank, because the bank will be the one giving the loan to this entire constructions projects, right? So usually the project owner will look for the bank to apply for a loan. And the project owner will take the money and then look for the contractors and subcontractors to build the construction, to build the building. And then by having these blockchains supply chain tracing is that the bank can trace every payment and the progress of the construction works. So the constructions, the project owners, they do not need to worry about the not really worry, they still worry, just that they have much more data for them to see and gain confidence about their projects progress. And they can also see that the fund that been distributed or loaned to the project owner will not be misused. Because all the fund usage, we can see there are trail or transactions, how this fund been used on the subcontractors, even the suppliers. So you have the visibility. So when you have the visibility, the bank has much more confidence to release the loan. And when they something that is not really right, I mean, from the transactions record, they can flag alert and they can do some preventions or some measurements, how to do that later on, right? And then another good thing about tokenizations with another different industry is called the carbon credit or energy tokens. All right, this is for the green energy industry like solar. We can do something like integrate with the solar smart meter. Like we can trace like how much power been generated or how much power has been consumed. Based on that, we can calculate like how much carbon has been saved, all right? And from there, we can issue this carbon credit. This carbon credit is used to represent the value, how much carbon, maybe in grams or milligrams, I don't know, yeah. And this carbon credit can be traded with anyone's, all right? But usually this carbon credit is used by the corporates, used by the corporates usually. The corporates want to save tax. There are some tax implemented in, I believe in US, there's a carbon tax. If you can prove that you have saved a certain amount of carbons, you can enjoy some discount on your tax. This is some of the ways for you to prove that. Okay, and then precious metal is also another use case for tokenizations. So as you know, precious metal like gold, diamond, silver, or whatever, they have a value carry of it. And instead of carrying the gold around to do trades, you can tokenize the gold value into token form, and then you can use this token to trade, okay, to invest, all right. And then for the gold tokenization, we have to go through a series of process to gain public trust as well. Like, the process of the gold custodian, the audit, must be able to be tracked, traceable using smart contract. Like there are actual golds being stored into a vault, and then there is a reputable third-party custodian service, verify it, audit it, then only it can tokenize the gold value into a token form. And then this token can be used to trade, right? And we also can use this blockchain digital certification on gold as well. Like, some of the gold, there is a label with the serial numbers, right? To trace where the gold's origins from. So we also can apply this here. So you can know where this gold comes from and where this gold been mined, if that's possible. Of course, it is always possible, just that our partners or maybe the gold mining company, they have to join into this blockchain ecosystem. Then only they can contribute data. Once we have the data, then only the more data we have, the more confidence we can gain from the public, usually in this case. Okay, so for so many blockchain applications that I have shared just now, you see that there are a lot of challenges as well. It's not so simple because blockchain is so new and there is no clear regulations guideline yet for cryptocurrency or even digital assets. Like all the tokenizations, securitizations, application that we use apply on asset it will actually means that we transform a physical asset into digital assets, and these digital assets has no clear guideline how we can audit it or trace it yet, right? But we have the technology ready, and technology can also make things become although it can make things convenient, like we can make these tokens being able to trade borderlessly, which means there's no country restrictions. Like you can send the token from Malaysia to US, to Europe, to anywhere, to Australia, and this can, when we can do that, the power comes with responsibility. So we also need to prevent something like money laundering things happening over here. So we also need to get the local government or different country jurisdictions how we then comply to their rules. So this is always a challenge right now. And the cost. So the cost is for the technical cost, blockchain server costs, because for those who involved in this ecosystem, you need to procure a server. Like I mentioned, in blockchain, everyone owns a blockchain, the blocks to audit and verify data, right? Which means that if you want to participate into our blockchain network, you need to at least have a computer, power it up 24/7 to synchronize the block data. So it involves cost. And then gas fee. Why I put gas fee is because every transactions that we made in blockchain, it charged with gas fee, or we call it mining fee. Like if you want to use this smart contract, execute smart contract, you need to pay gas fee as well. And I put optional over here is because I actually mentioned there are a few different consensus algorithms like the proof of stakes, Byzantine fault tolerance, RAF, like I mentioned just now, I'm not sure you still remember. Those those consensus is designed for those who do not want to have mining in their blockchain network. They want to promote fast confirmations, so they do not need to pay gas fee. This is for the enterprise use case blockchain, not for the public blockchain. Okay, so it's optional. Talent, this is a headache for me even now. Our company is always short of IT talent in blockchain industry for blockchain technology. So every time like Quantum Metal Corporate University, I think this is a good initiative that we want to train more talent in blockchain. So hopefully we can settle this issue. And then the learning curve. So we talk about Bitcoin, Ethereum, all those cryptocurrency, right? Actually, it is quite difficult for those non-tech savvy to still keep their own digital asset. Because I have a lot of friends, they always lost their Bitcoin, lost their Ethereum because they never back up their private key. The private key I did mention just now is that private key is actually sort of like a proof of ownerships of your assets or your wallet or your address. We call it address, right? And this private key must be safe kept by yourself, and you must always back up and not to share with anyone. And doing this backup is really maybe difficult for those non-tech savvy people because everyone is get used to the banking apps. You just need to remember your password, right? But because of this Bitcoin decentralized manner, so everyone store the password, or sort of we call it the private key by their own. Not even the bank knows your private key. Okay, so yeah, this is a next challenge that we may face. So thanks for hearing my talk. A bit lengthy here. So in summary, so blockchain, we can treat it like it's a tool to form trust among the stakeholders. So we don't think blockchain equals to Bitcoin anymore, yeah? And it's a trust-driven community, okay, for business participations. We also want to build trust to eliminate intermediary involvement so that to improve the efficiency of your business or efficiency of your operations. And the traditional enterprise implement direct model. This is a very good use case, is that a lot of traditional enterprise, they sell their goods or things through agents and dealers and distributors, right? So if you use blockchain, you maybe can eliminate all those middlemen. You can implement direct model straight away. And then blockchain, just now I mentioned, it actually has no border. You know, you can transfer your token anywhere in the world. So it can enable the enterprise moving towards globalizations, which means that your data can be shared with everyone around the world. Or you can even do business, anyone from any corner of this world, join your blockchain network, and then you can start your business, start your trades. All right. And thank you for listening to me. If you have any questions, feel free to drop into the chat box. I will check it out later. And thanks again. And I'll pass on to Honey from here.